What's up, YouTube? It's Mike the Motorcycle Man here. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about some maintenance, right? So I got a pretty big ride coming up here. I'm going to go cross country with a friend of mine. Be about 5,000 miles total. Head up all the way kind of diagonally across the U.S. up to Wisconsin, and then up into Minnesota. Going to do a little bit of fishing up there, and then we'll turn around. We're going to head back down through the Dakotas, see Mount Rushmore and stuff. Then we'll go into Colorado, Colorado Springs, down into Denver, make our way back around to Arizona. So it's going to be a nice long ride, camping in tents the whole way. Going to take a little bit of food and supplies with us and things like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But anyway, the thing I want to talk about today is maintenance, right? So anytime you're going to go on a big ride like that, you want to figure out and make sure that your bike is all good to go and that you're not going to have any problems or issues that come up during your ride. So one of the main things you want to look at is, and I'll go into this, is your oils. So your engine oil, your primary oil, which is where your gears shift inside the chain and the clutch basket inside there, and then also your transmission fluid. And then for my particular bike, this is a '09, Harley actually had a recall on the brake fluid that runs through the ABS on this bike. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be doing the maintenance myself today. I just don't have time before the trip. Normally I do all the maintenance myself, but I'll kind of go through and show you guys a little bit about where certain things are on the bike, like where you would open things up to change out the fluid and stuff like that yourself. But for today, I'm just going to take it over to the dealership. They're going to hook me up, plus they're going to do that flush on the brake fluid for me and take care of that recall issue that they had there. So I'll be all set to go for my fluids being changed and having the brake fluid done. The other thing I'm going to do tomorrow is get the tires replaced. It's always good to have a fresh set of tires if you're going to go a long distance like that. I mean, if your tires are fairly new and they got good tread, not a big deal, but mine are old. They need to be replaced. So I'll go into what to look for on your tires and what tires I recommend, which ones I've used in the past, and kind of how they hold up versus other brands and things like that. So enjoy. Alright guys, so first off, what I want to show you here, this is your primary, right? This whole round ovalish case right here, this is your primary. So because this right here, this is your shift linkage, this is where you shift. So once you shift in there, it activates this guy here, and then your clutch basket sits right back in there. So it's a what they call a wet clutch. So that's why you have what you call primary oil or primary fluid inside your whole assembly here. So basically what you would do in order to change that out, there's a drain bolt just on the underside of this right here. So you'd undo that drain bolt, obviously have a pan down there, let it drain out, and then you take off your primary cover here, your inspection cover, okay? And you take those off, you can get in there, you can see your primary, see if the oil's all drained out, inspect for any damage, things like that. You really don't have to take off the whole outer primary cover just to do an oil change. Sometimes if you run into an issue, it's good to, but you really don't have to for that. If you do, there's a gasket under here that you have to replace. That can get a little expensive. There's also a rubber O-ring underneath this plate here, and usually when you take that off, it's a good idea to replace it just to make sure you get a good seal. All these get torqued back down to a certain torque, and it's very important to make sure those get torqued properly, because otherwise what will end up happening is when you fill your primary fluid back up, you'll end up leaking right out the bottom down there if the bolts aren't torqued back in properly. So that's where you go for your primary. And then we'll go around here to the other side of the bike. Now on this side, this is where you're gonna end up changing your oil and your transmission. So a little hard to see, but right down here, this is your cap for your oil. So that's where you're gonna refill at, and that's also the dipstick for when you check your oil. And then down underneath the bike is a second bolt where you drain the engine oil out of, okay? All right, so then the other thing that you wanna look for before your big ride is the tires. So as you can see, my tires here, they have a little bit of wear, okay? These are older tires. A lot of bikes have a wear bar, which would normally be right here. Mine don't have that because I'm down to the point to where I've already used up the wear bar. So it's definitely time to swap out these tires. The other reason I really want to swap these out is because these are old tires. The guy I bought this bike from, these are still the original tires on there from 2009. That's the year this bike is. And tires, believe it or not, do have an expiration date. So I'll be putting some black wall tires on. I won't have the white walls anymore. For this time around, the white walls were just a little bit too expensive. It's about an extra $200 to $300 if you want the white wall tires. So I'll take you around and show you the back here. Your front tire is probably the most important. Back tire is important as well. Obviously, on a bike, you only got two, so you don't want one to blow out on you. But yeah, my back tire, it's looking a little used, a little worn and stuff too. There's still a decent amount of tread there, but because the tires are so old, they're wearing out fast. Now these aren't stock Harley Dunlap tires because they're white wall, but they are Harley Dunlap tires. You can see the little Harley insignia right there on the tire. And they're not bad tires, but they're not what I usually prefer. So anyway, the tires that I do usually prefer are, they're called Michelin Commander 2. That's the brand and the type of tire. What I like about those is the Harley Dunlap tires, there's nothing really wrong with them. They don't normally last as long, especially being out here in Arizona. The high heat really wears down the rubber a lot quicker. I think I've gotten, I don't know, 7,000 miles or so of, pretty hard riding out of some stock Harley Dunlap tires. Like I said, nothing wrong with them. A lot of guys use them. They ride nice. But I've ridden with the Michelin Commander 2 tire before, and those tires are really, really nice. It has a whole different ride to it. It just kind of makes your bike glide along. The other thing that's really nice about those tires is they have a hard center in the middle of the tire, and then soft edges. Now what that does is, most of the time when you're riding, you're going to spend the most amount of the time just riding straight. So you'll be straight up and down on the bike, not leaning or whatever. So the most of your wear is going to come to the middle of that tire. So that's why they put a reinforced hard center in the middle of your tire, so you get a lot more use out of them. And then soft sides, so that when you're cornering and you're going around curves, that rubber on the edges is still soft and will grip the pavement and really give you max performance throughout those turns. And then once again, max performance just going on the straight and riding along like that. I think typically they say those tires last anywhere between, 14 and 30,000 miles usually. I think I've heard of some guys getting 35,000 miles off of those tires. So I'm gonna go with the Michelin Commander 2s, and once those get installed, I'll show you what those look like. They're really, really nice. I definitely recommend them. If you haven't tried them, try them out. They're super nice. And yeah, so I'll give you an update once all the maintenance is done and the new tires are installed and